The hustle and bustle of Johannesburg, as citizens of the richest city in Africa, go about their business, but they are not oblivious to the political developments in the SADC region in particular. This is the region that fought as a united frontline force to liberate countries such as Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Namibia, and South Africa. However, years on, the liberation organizations seem to be losing electoral support. The recently concluded Angolan election pointed to MPLA's weakest performance since it was launched in 1975. Ordinary SADC citizens believe the liberation organizations must do introspection.
The relevance of the liberation struggle as in this particular time is not that important or still valid, considering how the world has evolved.
They are not still relevant to all the countries in Africa, because we can see, I think all the countries in Africa, they are struggling. So I can see they are not catering for their people. They are not still relevant.
They only liberated us from probably the colonized, but they've not liberated the poor populace. Because you may count how many years since independence or whatever for every African country. People are getting worse and worse and worse and worse.
They are no longer relevant like the purpose of which they were established for. Most of these political parties from Cape to Cairo, they were established to liberate African people from the oppression. But unfortunately, after the liberation, they lost the plot, because today we have a new enemy, which is starvation, joblessness. Our facilities, health facilities are not functioning well, and they are failing to deliver the services that they were voted for to deliver.
The challenges of poverty, unemployment, and corruption have derailed regional development. Ordinary people are suffering, particularly the youth who are unemployed. South Africa's Minister of International Relations has acknowledged that the liberation movements are facing challenges.
They must play a role in development. They should live up to their credentials. This is very important, and continue to promote and accelerate development in the countries in which they govern. They must promote good governance. They must serve the people and not serve themselves, which often causes people to become disaffected with them. So yes, indeed, we are, I think, seeing many of the liberation movements learning the challenge of democracy. This means you'll have competitors, you'll have new organizations emerging, they'll develop platforms which pose a challenge to you, so you better up your game.
Former South African President Thabo Mbeki had this to say about elections in Angola.
I'm not surprised. I would not have been surprised that the elections would result in a UNITA, which is a more competitive position relative to MPLA. And really the reason of this, in my view, is that in a sense, people are moving away from the days of struggle, the days of the war, to be Angolans at peace, and ask the question, therefore, what do we as Angolans want to make of our country? Not as what as a UNITA constituency versus the MPLA constituency, as defined by the war. Where do we stand? No, but a more united national position. So I would therefore imagine indeed that in that case, inevitably, UNITA would increase in its support.
With more countries going to elections this year and next year, a similar trend is expected.
The liberation movements in Africa are dying. If you can also look at the Southern Africa, they are slowly dying. And this is because of numerous factors. One of it is the question of the mounting corruption and also the incapability of reverting inequality, and also the question of accommodating power. If you can look here in South Africa, there's a high inequality, and also the question of racial inequality. Also, it's a serious issue that affects the liberal movement in South Africa, because it's like they are, they are still supporting this racial inequality, which is supported by colonial power. So there are also various factors. Let us look at the increasing young population, which is opting for other alternative. So it's something that we also need to brace. And also the question of party factionalism, they are killing this particular liberalization movement. That's why we might also, in these coming years, we might also be seeing the same with the ANC. But also again, here in South Africa, we still have a challenge wherein we do not have a strong opposition.
Sophie Mukwena, SABC News, Johannesburg.